Alright, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and as you can see in the title, I've watched a little bit of tape on this guy. Feel like it's time to talk about him. The Washington Commanders have signed former first round corner, Noah Igbinoghene, and it took me a while to learn how to pronounce that. I practiced it. Now I got it. Igbinoghene. But I'm too cold with it, man. Now I'm good, man. They might as well go ahead and make me a commentator. I'm pretty sure I'm already ahead of everybody else with it. But either way, we're going to do a full breakdown into him, and we're going to talk about, is this like an actual really good corner? Like, does this stop us from potentially signing another corner in free agency? Does it stop us from taking a corner within one of those first few picks that we have in the first three rounds? We have like 6 picks in the top 100 picks. So does that stop us from taking corner somewhere there? And then of course we got to dive into his ceiling and why us bringing him over here, him being an ex-Cowboys, is actually a pretty good thing as far as veteran leadership and how he's going to help Emmanuel Forbes and those guys and things like that. So before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content. Again, keep y'all updated with everybody. I'm still working on the Jamison Crowder and NFL bottle. We're gonna double back and break down those signings as well, technically re-signings, but I've just been super busy with a whole bunch. I was barely even at home yesterday. I had to do the first video I did yesterday like extra early in the morning, and then I did like another video right before I left because I knew I was gonna be out like all day and things like that. So now this is my first time really just being able to sit down and work on a video. So I'm getting back to those, but then we ended up signing this guy. So instead of talking about FL Bada and Jamison Crowder, I was like, let me go ahead and get to this guy. Watch some tape on him already. So stay tuned. I'm working on a mock draft. I'm working on updating y'all on the cap space that we have. Do we still have the most cap space in the NFL? It's actually crazy because we do. And I'm gonna break down why everybody's cap hits and then what we could potentially still get in free agency if we want them, certain positions, all of that. So stay tuned. And without further ado, man, let's go and get to this video. Let's get it. All right, so the Washington Commanders have signed depth cornerback Noah Igbinoghene, and he was the Dolphins' first-round pick in 2020 and played for the Cowboys last season. And it's a one-year deal, and I'm pretty sure it's an extremely cheap one-year deal, probably the cheapest one-year deal we've given out this entire offseason. And if you remember that name for some reason, but you can't remember why, he was the one like during the live draft stream, like during the draft, and like his dad was kind of like yelling at his mom to get out the way out of the camera shot or whatever. His mom was like trying to hug him like as he was getting drafted, and the dad was like yo, move out the way type of thing. You can't hear him, but you can see it. You can see like the body language. Like Noah's just sitting there like, I guess crying because he has a hand on his head or whatever, and his mom's like coming to hug him. The dad's like, get away. If you remember that moment, that's him from when he got drafted back in 2020. But he was Miami's 2020 first round pick, but we're bringing him here as a depth cornerback and special teams guy. Now, he's not like a special teams guy like an Anthony Pittman that we brought over from the Lions, or like we re-signed from last year's Commanders, Jeremy Reeves, but he's going to contribute. And then he's also not like a super star coming in here to start immediately type of guy like most of the free agency signings that we've brought in, but he does have some potential. We're gonna get there. But he's the son of Nigerian TNF Olympians, and he converted from wide receiver to cornerback while he was at Auburn, and he was drafted round 1 again, but 30th overall. Never became a regular starter, traded to Dallas last season for cornerback Kelvin Joseph, just straight up, and he only played 25 defensive snaps last year, but at the same time, he's only 24 years old. So that's a good little rundown from Sam 48, kind of like his overall profile, but we're going to dive into each of those specific things that he said later on. We're going to expound upon them. But, of course, he's joining a lot of other former Cowboys, like our new starting center, Tyler Biadasz. Then you have our new starting edge rusher, Dorrance Armstrong Jr., and then you have our situational pass rusher, also from the Cowboys, edge rusher, Dante Fowler. All of those guys are already here, along with Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. and a few other Cowboys coaches. So we brought over like a total of like 8-9 guys from the Cowboys between coaches and players. So, and I'm not surprised when your head coach, you get a new head coach and he's from a team, he's going to try to bring at least some people with him. So I'm not surprised. It makes sense. But this guy is probably the least cowboy out of all of those guys. Like, he doesn't count anywhere near as much as those other guys I just listed, because last year, with the one season that he was with the Cowboys, where everybody else has been with them for a couple of years, well, Dante Fowler, I believe, was 1 year as well, but he played more than this guy did. But this guy, Noah Igbinoghene, only played there for one season. He only played in 5 games and started none. But y'all know me, man. Y'all know I love these talented guys that we're picking up that's still young and have some untapped potential that, you know, you can kind of assume that maybe he has his best days ahead of him. Maybe they can finally unlock something that the Dolphins weren't able to unlock with him for 3 years, and that they weren't even able to unlock in him last year when they were all with the Cowboys together. But maybe something's different with the Commanders. You never know. Again, he's only 24 years old, so it's not like he's out of his prime. If anything, he's just getting into it. So we'll see how that goes. And he's actually one of the youngest people we've signed out of this entire free agency cycle. So I still feel like he has a lot of room to grow. I don't feel like he's scratched the surface. Am I guaranteeing you that he's about to just be this really good corner just simply because he's young? I'm not saying that, but just like a glass half full approach to it, I just feel like, you know, man, he's only 24. He still has a lot of time to grow. Again, he was a wide receiver in college for quite a bit of time. So he's still not new to the position, but newer than a lot of people typically are. So there's still some rawness to his game at times. Also, Adam Peters, another thing that maybe a lot of people have not noticed, especially with this sign, is that Adam Peters is definitely showing trust in his coaching staff and their ability to develop players at an elite level, because we have brought in several former first-round picks that have not lived up to their potential at all. We have former 4th overall pick edge rusher Clelin Ferrell, former 2nd overall pick quarterback Marcus Mariota, and 3rd overall pick edge Dante Fowler. And now we have former 30th overall pick and cornerback Noah Igbinoghene. So clearly Adam Peters is like, hey man, these guys went in the first round for a reason. And if I'm watching the tape and I'm like, okay, there's still some flashes there, there's some talent, I'm gonna need y'all to develop it and get it to come out of them more consistently. So Adam Peters is definitely showing like, hey man, I'll get you the talent, coaches, you need to get the production. I'll bring in the talent, y'all get out the production. That's how this is gonna work. So I thought that was an interesting theme right there. It shows that Adam Peters does think pretty highly of the coaching staff that he's helped assemble. But again, going back to his days as far as with the Dolphins and the Cowboys, he was a first-round pick again. He played in all 16 games as a rookie, but only started in 2, which is interesting. You're a first-round rookie and you only started 2 games, so we already knew he was off to a bad start. You could argue that those 16 games that he played in were like really forced, where they were just like, well, he's a first-round pick, let's just keep playing him. Eventually, he has to figure it out. There's a reason we took him in the first round. We can't be out here benching our first-round pick like Ron Rivera did with Emmanuel Forbes. The Dolphins are like, nope, we're not doing. Well, I mean, of course, what Rivera did was after what the Dolphins did, but basically, we drafted a guy in the first round. He's gonna play. Ron Rivera didn't feel that way about Emmanuel Forbes. Then 2021, he played in 9 games, only started 1. Then 2022, I guess he showed a little bit of progress because he played in 9 games, only started 2, which is still not great for a first round pick. And then again, he got traded to Dallas last year and only played in 5 games and started none. And his jersey number has switched 2 times now. He was 23 coming out. And then I guess he was so bad his rookie year, even as a first round pick, only 1 year removed, he moved to the number 9. And I don't know if he did that on purpose or it was just kind of like, man, you're not good enough to keep that number. And then he went to Dallas and had to take 19. It's crazy that he's only 24 years old, not very far removed from being a first round pick. And this guy's even switching jersey numbers at the rate that he is. But maybe Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. didn't even really like him that much. I mean, to only play him 5 games, he started in 0. Clearly, with this coaching staff that was there with him in Dallas, don't think too highly of him because they would have played him a lot last year. So I'm basically saying, don't get your expectations too high with this guy. I'm not even about to sit here and lie to y'all and convince y'all like he's just this crazy, super talented guy that we just signed our next starting corner type of guy. Nah, not at all. I'm not trying to convince y'all that at all. But at the same time, though, we got to talk about some potential, because there is potential here. There's a reason, again, that he went in the first round coming out of Auburn. Now, you know, maybe if he went to Georgia, maybe he would have been better. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's just a shot at Auburn. But either way, I want to read to y'all his draft report and breakdown from full press coverage. Now, I have taken the time to watch some of his NFL tape, but I'm going to admit I have not gone back to watch his college tape. So we're going to check this out, and remember that this is somebody else's point of view and opinion when I'm reading some of these points about what he looked like coming out of college. So he's 5'11", 200 pounds coming out of college. Today's draft prospect is a former wide receiver. He was converted to defensive back. Also, he comes from a very athletic family. Again, both of his parents were Olympic track athletes. There's still some rawness in his player's game. However, the physicality and length would suit the Kansas City Chiefs very well. Now let's get things started. Coverage skills. He said, for starters, Igbinoghene has some versatility at cornerback. He can line up near the line of scrimmage, in the slot, or in the high quarters look. Igbinoghene offers quick click and close ability while in zone coverage. His timing while jumping on top of routes is still a work in progress, as he seems to learn to position and all of that type of stuff. He said, for example, you will see a few penalties come because he hooks the opposing receiver's hips just a bit early. While in man coverage, Igbinoghene displays natural mirroring abilities, the recovery speed and physicality and competitiveness downfield, which really sticks out. As a result, quarterbacks can have a difficult time fitting balls in the tight windows against this Auburn defender. So you see, like, the all of the tools are there. That sounds like, oh wow, that literally sounds like Sauce Gardner if you just add ball production there. If you just add ball skills to it, that literally is like, okay, so we have a lockdown corner, right? And then on top of that, his hips are smooth, fluid, all of that type of stuff. He can flip those hips and work well at difficult angles. His lateral movement skills are something that some cornerbacks wish they had entering the NFL level. But at the same time, his footwork is underdeveloped. He can take too many steps on plays where the ball is thrown in front of him. Again, the recovery speed makes up for this, but the footwork will need to be worked on early. And I'm assuming, I guess, the Dolphins didn't do that. Igbinoghene's mobility and click and close strengths allow him to cover a good chunk of ground in open space. And then he talks about how the ball skills are not good, even though, which is surprising because he's a wide receiver. But then again, a lot of wide receivers go to corner because they can't catch. So I guess that actually makes a lot of sense. And then they also say that he shows a lot of effort. He's a prideful player. He's always giving it his all. He's very physical and things like that. He talks about how he's not afraid to stick his nose in the pile to make a tackle and all of that type of stuff. They say his feet can be choppy when it comes to like developing the right form to tackle with and things like that, but he's not afraid of a tackle. So I mean, it's a whole bunch more into the breakdown, but I don't want to just sit here and read that all for forever. Y'all are not here to see somebody else's opinions. Y'all are here for mine. I just wanted to basically give y'all an idea of how some people felt about him coming out of the draft and why he ended up going in the first round. But now to my opinions and what I saw on tape. NFL wise, he still has some flashes now. He's had some excellent coverage at times, like one example from the slot for the Dolphins when he was still there, where he completely locked up Adam Thielen one time when Adam Thielen was still on the Vikings and everything. He like completely locked them up one play. Then he also has some really good coverage. He had like a really good rep at outside corner as well, where he got an interception against the Steelers when Kenny Pickett, I believe, was a rookie, and they won that game because of the interception. It was like clutch time too, like 30 seconds left, Dolphins up 6, I believe, and he got an interception. He was like one-on-one on an island with the wide receiver too, and they were like, go ahead, man, we trust you. You're a first-round pick. You better figure it out type of thing, even though he has never started more than 2 games in a season. But it was really noteworthy that they had him in the clutch in that situation where this game could have been lost because of him making a bad play out there. They probably lose that game if he doesn't cover that receiver that well, get that interception and things like that. So that's cool that the Dolphins trusted him and he delivered. Even though, again, in that season, he only played in 9 games and only started 2 whole games. So that was really interesting. Then when you take a look at Pro Football Focus, they do not rock with him at all. They felt like he had an overall grade of 37.1 his rookie year. I didn't even know grades went that low. That's like terrible. And then 2021, 52.2, 2022, 51.8. You know, he started maybe make a little bit of progress, even though out of all of those years that I've given you so far, his highest coverage grade was a 53.8, which was 2021. Not good either. And then this most recent season for the Dallas Cowboys, even though he didn't play a lot, they still felt like he was only worthy of a 31.9 grade. His lowest out of any year. Also, his lowest coverage grade, a 29.7. That is abysmal. And ultimately, from what I've been seeing from the little bit of tape that I watched on him, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of agree with Pro Football Focus. Y'all know me, man. Y'all know I'm Mr. Glass Half Full, Mr. Optimistic. And again, he has flashes of great coverage, which makes you want to believe in his potential. But he is incredibly inconsistent, y'all. I mean, he definitely makes more bad plays than good ones. Like, for every good play he has in coverage, he has like another 2, 3, or 4 of bad coverage. It's scary. But as of late, he's been more willing to help against the run. But maybe that's because that he's figured out that, hey man, my coverage is inconsistent. If I want to play and I want to get on the field, I'm gonna have to at least be a high effort guy. So he's been contributing in special teams, and he has become a slightly better run defender since getting drafted. Because if you're a first round corner, you're like, they didn't draft me to tackle running backs. They drafted me to lock up these receivers out here making $20+ million a year. So I'm not even, I mean, I guess I could contribute in the run game. That would be nice, but my main focus is covering people and maybe making business decisions and not trying to get hurt against, you know, trying to tackle a running back or something like that. This double my weight. So maybe now that he's realized, okay, nobody's looking at me like a first round pick like I used to be. I'm not highly coveted anymore. If I'm gonna try to get on this field, I'm gonna have to put in effort and get better against the run play on special teams and things like that. I'm not saying that's how he was coming out as a rookie, but I can see how as a first round corner, you'd be like, man, you know, stopping the run, that's not why you're paying me millions of dollars to stop the run. That's like extra. You just want me to lock up these receivers type of thing. Again, I'm not saying that's how he felt, but I wouldn't be surprised. But this is really interesting because now we're adding another young corner to an already young group of Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St-Juste. Like, he's only 1 year older than Emmanuel Forbes, and Emmanuel Forbes is going into his sophomore year right now. And Benjamin St-Juste, he's 2 years younger than him. I was thinking when we were talking about potentially bringing in another corner, I was thinking like a Stephon Gilmore, like a veteran guy that comes in with a certain floor to where, you know, like when in doubt, if Emmanuel Forbes and or Benjamin St-Juste can't figure it out, we at least have somebody that we know, very proven, very productive. Like, we know when we sign that guy, he can play. He's playable. He can go out there and at the very least not be a liability, be dependable, all of that type of stuff. I was thinking we would go something in that direction, but we went and got a guy that's even more raw than Emmanuel Forbes right now. That's basically what we're doing. So I thought youth-wise, bringing in a veteran, I thought we would go that route. But at the same time, even though he is still very young, it's still pretty beneficial that he is somewhat of a veteran. Even though he's technically only 1 year older than Emmanuel Forbes, he's already been in the league for 4 years. And I think there are some benefits to that. Like, I honestly think that it's smart to have at least one former player from at least the Cowboys or somewhere defensively at each level of the defense to help with our defensive floor. Just to raise it a little bit. Even though talent-wise he won't, at least familiarity with the defense he can. Because we're trying to get things going quickly. Like, we're not coming in here with the, we only won 4 games last year, so our expectations shouldn't be high. It's whatever. We'll be able to compete later on down the line eventually. No, it looks like what we're doing in free agency so far, we're trying to win right now. And that may be a clue as to who we end up taking at quarterback second overall. We may not have time to deal with the guy that has a little bit more rawness to his game. Now, I'm not saying they're putting all eggs in one basket. They're clearly building for the future as well, especially with the way that these contracts are structured. They're doing a great job of doing both, building for the future, but don't ignore the fact that they're trying to win right now. They're not going all in right now like doing what the Rams did a couple of years ago before they won that Super Bowl and doing whatever it took to build the best team possible and just basically mortgaging the future to do it, which paid off for them. We're not doing that. We're doing like a healthy balance of both. But I really feel like some people are ignoring the fact that even though this is technically a rebuild, or Dan Quinn called it a recalibration, we're just acting like we're not coming in with expectations to win week 1 immediately. So back to my point again, it's good to have at least one guy that's familiar with the Joe Witt Jr. defense at each level of the defense, at least somebody or somebody that's part of this defensive staff somewhere, at the very least, like a super veteran, like a Bobby Wagner or Frankie Luvu. We need some better. We can't have young guys everywhere. It's nice to have some young guys, some young talent, some young legs, you know, some explosive, fast moving guys that are still in their prime, but you need some type of veteran. Because even just look at it from this angle. If Noah is getting more snaps with the first team defense at the beginning of the offseason workouts, just simply because he knows Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr.'s defense better than Emmanuel Forbes and St. Juice, which he would, I mean, as soon as we start like mini camps and things like that, he will know the defense better than those guys. So if they actually just go ahead and throw him out there with the ones to kind of show everybody how they want certain practices ran, how they want certain coverages ran, as far as communication, responsibilities, and things like that, I can see that happening. Then Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juice will be like more motivated to learn the defense even faster, as quickly as possible, and just to basically earn their starting spots, which they should get. They should be on track of getting it over a guy like this, which again, I don't see him starting at all. I'm not even sure if he's cornerback 3 based on what I've seen on tape. He's probably cornerback 4. I would put him behind Q Blue Kelly. If Tariq Castro-Fields and any of those guys are still here, I may put him behind them maybe. But it's still really convenient to have a guy with at least some veteran presence and is, at the very least, has some prior experience with our current defensive coordinator, Joe Witt Jr. And again, I think if they go ahead and start him immediately, I think that motivation, that fire under Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St. Juice would just motivate them to be better players and learn the defense as soon as possible. But also, most importantly, the obvious reason it's helpful to have at least one person in each level of the defense knowing exactly what's going on and just basically know what Joe Witt Jr. is asking of them. Like, somebody already knows the program, they already know how they want practices ran and all of that type of stuff, so they can really be like a translator between the players and Joe Witt Jr., the defensive coordinator. And even if Joe is like, say if he's all over the place and busy, you have somebody at each level of the defense that can tell players exactly what to do from a player standpoint and kind of reword it to where a player can understand it better than like a Joe Witt Jr. would be able to. Like, so you just never know, because maybe Joe Witt Jr. is busy. He can't micromanage everything, and they got to stay focused on the bigger things. And instead of like little things, like Emmanuel Forbes may be struggling with like a simple coverage responsibility or like a certain footwork thing, or where should my eyes be here and things like that, he could just go ahead and ask Noah rather than going to Dan Quinn or Joe Witt Jr., who may be preoccupied with something else at that time. So it's really helpful for multiple reasons. And also, the last reason is that bringing as many ex-Cowboys players to the Commanders is also great, especially on defense, even beyond scheme and practice familiarity and all of that type of stuff, which raises our floor, and that guy can be a little bit more dependable to contribute immediately. But also, we know for a fact that that guy that we just brought from the Cowboys has the exact mentality that Joe Witt Jr. sees as a requirement, at the very least, in his defense. He said in his press conference that they want to hit people and play a very physical, high motor style of play at all times. And basically he insinuated that, yeah, it's cool if somebody has all of the talent in the world, but if they don't have that mentality that we need from these guys, we don't want them. We don't care how good you are, how physically talented you are, how much of a freak athlete you are. If you're not willing to play the way that we want you to play, it doesn't matter. And so with them bringing this guy from Dallas, you could already assume that he had that mentality before they traded for him to Dallas from the Dolphins. So it's safe to assume that this guy has the exact mentality that Joe Witt Jr. loves and demands. At the very least, he may be very inconsistent, but at the very least, he fits the mental profile that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. expects their players to have, especially on defense. But for the overall cornerback group, I still think we need to add somebody in both free agency and the draft, but at the very least the draft. Ben Standig just let everybody know yesterday, and I talked about this in my video yesterday. He tweeted, Commanders have explored the free agency market, but from what I've heard and seen, it's mostly been cornerback 3 types, which adds up with this signing. So they basically potentially see this guy as a cornerback 3 at best. They didn't bring him in here to come in and be an immediate starter. They see Forbes and Benjamin St. Juice may be somebody that they draft as the starter. This guy is not seen as the starter because, again, Ben Standig, even before we signed this guy, said yesterday that they were looking for cornerback 3s, which is why I guess they didn't go and get my boy Isaac Yiadom, because I thought he could be an excellent corner for us, but maybe he was too good. Maybe he was expecting too much money, more money than they were willing to give up or something like that. And I'm giving you that Ben Standig report because if you're looking at it from the Commanders' point of view, even though I disagree, but at the end of the day, man, these guys get paid millions of dollars. They put way more time, blood, sweat, tears, and effort into this than I do. Even though I'm talking about the Commanders all of the time, I'm not going to sit here and act like I know more than what Adam Peters and Dan Quinn Jr. and all of those guys know. So just looking from their point of view, though, with them looking for a cornerback 3 in free agency, and they feel like they probably just got that guy in Noah Igbinoghene, it sounds like we're probably done looking free agency corners. I was hoping that hopefully, even right now, I'm still hoping that we may potentially look at Stephon Gilmore for extremely cheap. But at the same time, that does not mean that we're not taking corner at some point in this draft. Matter of fact, with those 6 picks we have in the top 100 picks, I'm pretty sure we're taking corner with one of those. I'm very sure of it because this guy does not come in and immediately solve your cornerback problems and your depth issues. And like if Emmanuel Forbes is not good, who starts opposite of Benjamin St-Juste and vice versa? Benjamin St-Juste doesn't fit this scheme very well. Who starts opposite of Emmanuel Forbes? Right now, I couldn't give you a definitive, trustworthy answer. So we're going to end up drafting a guy. We're probably going to draft the guy pretty high. If they already knew coming into free agency that they didn't really care about getting a strong veteran corner, a proven veteran corner, not a young veteran corner like this guy with some potential, but a proven one, then that must mean that they're already looking at corners in the draft. They already have an idea of where they may potentially take a corner in the draft, what round, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be a fairly early round. It won't be first, highly doubt it's second, but I highly doubt we make it through day 2, round 3 without taking a corner. I don't think we're just going to wait till like the 6th round to get a corner. We need to bring somebody in here that's going to be ready to go. And even though Joe Wood Jr. already said that he wanted to get just get a chance to reteach and coach up Emmanuel Forbes and Benjamin St-Juste and the other guys, basically see what they have before we overreact and sign a corner for crazy money in free agency. It seems like they're doing that because they think that maybe these guys have great talent. These cornerbacks have something in them, but the previous regime just didn't teach them well and also didn't put them in the right situations to be successful as possible. So I still think we need to bring in significant talent to add to this cornerback group. So, but maybe it's not a guy like Stephon Gilmore again. Maybe they want a chance to get coach up Emmanuel Forbes, see if they teach them the way that they feel they should be taught and put them in their defensive scheme. It's like, well, maybe now we actually don't need corner as bad as we thought. And we dodged the bullet by overpaying for a corner in free agency because now we've had a chance to look at these guys. We'll see. So, again, if we haven't gotten a Stephon Gilmore in free agency, I'm telling you, Noah does not replace Stephon Gilmore, who started for the Cowboys last year, over Noah. They were on the same team at the same time. Dan Quinn and Joe Wood Jr. know Stephon Gilmore is clearly better than this guy. So, clearly, they must be targeting corner earlier in the draft than what most people probably think. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned. Of course, I'm going to keep y'all updated on everything. I got to double back to the Jamison Crowder and FL Bottle re-signing. Stay tuned for that. Keep y'all updated on everything. I'm working on mock drafts. I'm working on film sessions for draft prospects. I have so many video ideas. I'm going to give y'all a cap space update. I have so many video ideas. I can't wait to get it to y'all. So just stay tuned. That's why I'm telling y'all to hit that bell next to the subscription button. And of course, let me know in the comment section how you feel about this signing. Are you just like me where it's like, yeah, I mean, we'll see. This guy's some good potential, but I'm not expecting him to come in here and contribute immediately as not even a starter, but even a rotational player. I'm not even sure if they plan on playing him much. Again, they only played him in 5 games last year, and he started at 0. This is more than likely more of a special team signing, but let me know if you see something else different. If you disagree, you feel like this guy can come in and contribute immediately as a corner, even outside of just special teams, let me know that. All of that. So, man, I appreciate y'all. Stay tuned for more content. Catch y'all later. I'm out.